Greetings, salutations, and welcome to SportsLook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and just like Bill Belichick, we're back doing what we love in relation to the world of sports. I think we'll have a better week than Bill Belichick did because we've got two great guests this week. We've got Karli Bustos, the new head volleyball coach. We've got Kelley, the head coach of Greyhound football. I'll finish up with an overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Greyhound football had its first game of the season last week. More will be said about that in a couple of minutes. Greyhound volleyball, Greyhound soccer, Greyhound cross country, all getting ready for their first competitions. And Greyhound rodeo, a couple of weeks, and it'll be time for the College Days Rodeo. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear this side, and I'll bring in Karli Bustos right now. Welcome back to SportsLook, and a privilege to bring to the set of SportsLook for the very first time the head coach of Eastern New Mexico University Volleyball, Karli Bustos. And Karli, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Well, the first question I always ask a new guest, where are you from and what was the process that got you here to Eastern?
Well, that's a big one. I'm actually native to New Mexico, northern New Mexico. I'm from Espanola, New Mexico. I guess the process that got me here, my parents met playing volleyball. My mom's a Highlands alum, so she played there, and my dad was on the practice squad. And so that's how they met. And then they kind of, had my siblings and I kind of chugged us along to all their games and then started coaching us as we were younger. And then I kind of started coaching with my dad. When I was 14, I would coach the younger kids. And then I kind of got into coaching then. And then I didn't play. Fun fact, I didn't play college volleyball. So that's always unique in my story. And I started coaching high school while I was in college in Las Vegas, New Mexico. And then I started coaching assistant at Highlands. And that's kind of where I started after high school. I was there for, I think it was 4 seasons. And then I ended up in Trinidad, Colorado, where I got my first head coaching job at the junior college level. And then I was there for the last 5 seasons.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your association with sports. What sports did you grow growing up, and what was it about volleyball that kept your interest?
I think I did a lot of sports. My parents were very, they pushed, wanted us to do a lot of different sports. So I've done baseball, softball. I tried basketball, but that was tragic the whole time. I also did, those were the main ones, and then volleyball. I started volleyball pretty young for the 90s. At the time, people weren't really starting until they were 12. I started when I was like 8 or 9. And I think I just had a knack for the game in terms of like the way I thought about it. And my sister was older, so I would always be like hitting balls at her when I was younger. And so I always thought I was her coach, so I would be telling her how to fix certain things. And I think I wasn't ever super athletic, but I had pretty good knowledge, which I think helped me in terms of to play volleyball.
Well, interestingly enough, I was an assistant basketball coach, women's basketball coach
nice.
At UC San Diego, and I describe myself the same way. May not have been the best athlete, but I had a pretty good analytical mind, so we at least share that in common. Talk about the time that you did become a coach at a very young age. Was it something that, like, you really wanted to do, or something that they needed a coach and you filled in and you grew to love it?
I think it was something I wanted to do. My dad, obviously if you grow up with a coaching parent, you're in the gym all the time. And so when I was in high school, he would take me along to help, just kind of demo and things like that with the younger kids. And then I kind of just got into it. And as soon as I started coaching, I actually realized I really loved it. So once I got to college, I was immediately trying to find a job in terms of like coaching, and I got lucky. My mother-in-law at the time, well, not the time, she's my mother-in-law now, but I started coaching with her where I went to college, and I was coaching high school, middle school, and then high school. And I think I just always liked it. That's actually kind of why I went into teaching at the time, just because I always knew I more so wanted to be a coach.
Well, it's interesting. I did not know that your mother-in-law had been a coach. I knew your father-in-law was a coach because he actually coached at West Las Vegas when my
Yes.
son Cam played basketball for Portales High. So he actually
Okay.
played against your father-in-law back in the day. Um, when you went to Highlands, what did you major in and what did you think you were going to do?
So I thought I was going to teach. I did elementary education. So I majored in that, and I thought I was going to be teach. And when I did my grad school, I went to grad school for educational leadership, which is just administration. So at the time, I was thinking coach, teacher, and eventually potentially an athletic director.
And when you got a chance to coach on the junior college level, I mean, you didn't, I mean, you had some years where you were helping out at Highlands, but that was a huge leap of faith on their part, but a huge leap of faith on your part to think that you could do that.
It was. I mean, I actually was coaching high school. I was a head coach of a high school at 20 because my mother-in-law passed away during one of our, during the season. And so we ended up going to state with her team after 2 weeks after her passing. And so that was like kind of my first head coaching experience.
Wow.
And so when I went into Trinidad, I had a little bit of that, and I was interim at Highlands. But it was definitely a huge leap of faith from the administration at Trinidad. I think, you know, I've always wanted to coach, and I have a pretty natural instinct of being able to manage people. And so I felt like I was equipped in that way. And also coaching at 20, you just learn a lot of different things because, you know, I was only 2 years older than some of my seniors. So, and then classroom management, I think also led into that as well. So, you know, I think, and I also interview very well, which is helpful. So I think that's kind of how I got the upper hand when I got that job at Trinidad. And I felt like I connected with the AD really well at the time through the interview process.
Well, talk about applying for the job at Eastern. What was it about the job here that intrigued you?
So I have children, so I do try to stay within a radius that's close enough to my family because, you know, coaching is hard and I do need a village to help me, you know, parent and also do my job effectively. So I always know, my husband and I have kind of talked about the radius that we have to stay in for my mom to be here on game day because we do need that help. And so, you know, some of the schools that we looked at were obviously within New Mexico, within like a 4 to 5 hour radius of Espanola where my parents live. So, you know, it was just kind of whenever one of those jobs came available, it was kind of something that I knew I needed to put my name in for. And then also I've just always wanted to get back to New Mexico and bring some pride back into, I think, Division II volleyball, because I do think that, you know, there's some talent here. I mean, at the JUCO level, I did recruit a lot of New Mexico kids, and we did really well with that. So I would like to do that for the state and kind of just do something special within volleyball.
Karli, to a certain extent, your players have to accept you, but you also have to accept them. And how has that process been of you earning their trust and they earning your trust?
In terms of the returners or
Yeah.
yes. Okay, so we don't have a lot. We had 6 returners this coming year. I think communication has been key. I know, like, I do my very best to open a door, and you know, obviously we do a lot of meetings with them, whether it's, you know, the mental side of the games, academics, and then also if they want to share anything of that aspect. And I do my best, you know, to always be a good listener and try to give them feedback if it's wanted. Not, you know, sometimes I have to, my struggle is I'm like, okay, let me tell you what you should be doing versus listening. So that's something I really try to focus on. And so I think just a lot of communication and trying to understand them as humans. And I also take a big value in encouraging my players to find things outside of volleyball, because I feel like at their age, because I know when I was in high school, if they're like, describe yourself, I'm like, oh, I play volleyball, and that's about it. So I do try to help them find other things, and, you know, that process is different, but I think just, you know, trying to connect with them all on a different level besides just volleyball, I think has been really helpful.
Karli, we've got about 45 seconds left. It's going to be a while before we actually get a chance to watch your team in action here in Portales, but When people do come out and watch the Greyhounds play volleyball, what's the one thing that you hope fans take away from watching your team play?
Well, I would like to bring some grittiness to the court and also just like high energy and volume. And I'm hoping that we can, push that onto the court and kind of see that even though no matter what the score is, at least for me, I'm always going to be coaching. I'm not a coach who's just going to sit down and give in because I wouldn't expect that of my athletes. And so I'm hoping that we can see a lot of grittiness and someone who's like there to fight. And I always tell the girls we need to outwork and out-talk every other team that we're up against. And so that's always the main goal. And so I'm hoping when people come to see us, that's what they see.
Well, Karli, congratulations on getting the position. Best of luck this season, and I can't wait to see you in action in person.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll bring in Kelley Lee from Greyhound Football right now. Welcome back to Sports Look, and we bring back to the set of Sports Look the head coach of Greyhound Football, Kelley Lee. And Coach, if people wanted a close, exciting ball game for the first game of the season, we certainly got one last Thursday.
Yeah, it was a good game, and came down to the end, and unfortunately we didn't capitalize on the opportunities we had early in the game, where we really could have probably put it away. And give them credit; they capitalized on the ones they had, and they got the edge over us.
It is interesting. Live stats ended in the second quarter, and if that's where the game had ended, you guys were dominating at that point in the game.
Yeah, we played an outstanding defensive game in the first half. I think they'd only made a handful of first downs, and we'd been able to move the ball, but our drives had sputtered out. But we put together a nice 2-minute drill right before the end of the half and went up 10-0. And I guess we scored a little too quick. We left 20 seconds left, and they were able to hit a long pass and go, and then we were only up 10-7 a half.
And then in the second half, it was back and forth. Highlands took the lead. You got the lead back. They built the lead up to 10. You eventually got it down to 6, and unfortunately couldn't recover that onside kick that might have realistically given us a chance to score the touchdown and win.
Yeah, the first possession, we got a holding call, got out of it, got another holding call, kicked. They got a short field. They scored, we scored, they scored, we scored, they scored. We went down and got stopped 4th and goal on the 1, and that really was kind of the nail in the coffin because then they were up 2 scores. Went down and scored. Penalty nullifies the touchdown. Then we had a 4th and 10, so we went ahead and kicked the field goal because we got to get an onside kick anyway. So we knocked the field goal through. Caden Bell knocked it through, and then, like you said, we didn't recover the onside kick, and that was the game.
Well, Coach, we do credit the Sports Information Department at Eastern New Mexico University. They supplied us with some superb highlights. So let's cue that up, and please walk us through it.
Sure thing. That's a punt early in the game, and Ryan Travis hits a beauty. I think it ended up being like a 74-yard punt, something like that. Dylan Hyde hustled down our deep snapper to down it, and it's great because we actually end up getting a turnover there and a short field and a field goal out of it. This is one of those. This is that turnover. We got both Cordieri brothers applying pressure and getting Dylan Cordieri getting the ball out there, and Asai Swindle coming up with the recovery. This was a 3rd down play. Wish that we'd have stayed outside there, and our blocker gave up leverage, and I think we'd have scored, but we didn't, and we had to settle for the field goal, and Caden Bell knocks it through.
Young man returning to the kicking duties.
Yeah, our kicking, we have our punter, our kicker, and our deep snapper all returning, and they all did a good job in this first game. Kind of a coverage opportunity here. He had all day, but we had great coverage. Matt Cordier tips it up, and J.J. Silver comes up with the big interception. That running back right there was the preseason RMAC Player of the Year, and we did a good job. Mike Corteri with the tackle there. I think we held him to 26 yards in the game. They're running a little bit of option. Great second effort play by Caden Spano. He forced the pitch, then ran out and made the play on pitch. Great effort play. Good tackle there by Raheem Ross, fitting on in the run there against a big back that it was the RMAC Player of the Year last year. This is that score right before half, a little sprint out play. Took away, it's actually a pick route, and then the guy who set the pick, Jerry Gomez, drifts to the back of the end zone, circa Dwight Clark and the 49ers back in the day, and similar type play. Chad Regal extended the play and found Jerry in the back of the end zone. So that one's one out of Bill Walsh's playbook right there, paid off for the Greyhounds. And that was Jerry Gomez's second career touchdown, and he actually caught 3 on the night.
Yep.
Of course, we said one of them got called back, but he had ended up with 4 catches for 94 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Caden Bell tacking on another extra point. And like I said, Dylan Hine, great snapping. Ryan Travis, our punter, is our holder. So those guys spend a lot of time together, and they're doing a good job.
Greyhounds trailing for the first time in the evening.
Yeah, that was after that. We had that bad possession start the half, and they punched it in. Then we get a decent kickoff return here by Elias Santana. Elias transferred to us from Adams State, and he actually was second in the RMAC at kickoff returns, was an all-conference return man. And so Highland's probably seen that from him before, but he had a good game for us in the return game and offensively. Here, Chad Regal's making a little adjustment to our blocking scheme there at the line of scrimmage. Gets the give read to Xavier Johnson, transfer out of UTEP, led us in rushing in the first game, and he gets us right down there close for the score with a nice run. And then this was a pretty heads-up play. We were running like a just outside veer, but they jumped off sides. Chad didn't even risk the handoff. He knew it was a free play. He just followed Xavier in for the touchdown. So I thought that was a pretty smart play, free play, just to go get the touchdown right there. Of course, we declined the penalty and accept the touchdown. It's funny, that's the same play we run later in the game when they stopped it. We didn't get quite as good a push that second time. There's our special teams unit adding another PAT and, again, taking the lead. You know, as you talked about, it went back and forth there in the second half. And Highlands is back up. Another pretty solid kick return, I think, here. Elias Santana. And, you know, that was a great kick. They pinned him on about the 2 in the left-hand corner, which is, you know, a really terrible place to return the ball from, but he was able to get it out and get field position. You know, we're coming back. We need an answer here. And Chad Regal connects with Dalton Flowers on the post route for a big, I think this ended up being a 65-yard play. So good route, good throw, good catch, and great protection too.
Yep.
Fortunately, that was the drive. We went for it and stalled out. And right here, this would have been a great opportunity to get a safety or stop them. But that young man, just a true freshman, had a great game, was actually the National Player of the Week. And he's able to get it out and get that first down for him. We eventually do get the ball back here, and we're able to hit a touchdown to Jerry Gomez off the play action. Wide open. And Chad lays it out there nice and safe for him. Jerry makes the play. And then we were down 5, so no use kicking an extra point at that point. So we go for 2 because being down 5 is the same as being down 4. So this can cut it to a field goal game. We run a little play action and find Elias Santana in the end zone. It's a good throw and good catch. So that made it a field goal game with 4 minutes left. And you know, I felt pretty good about it right there.
Yeah.
You know, we had a lot of momentum if we'd have got the stop, but they went down and scored. And to our credit, we went down and scored the touchdown. But like I said, it got called back for holding, and then we had to settle for a field goal. And then, you know, that cut it to, we're going to have to get the onside kick either way. And we didn't get the onside kick. So give them credit. They're a much improved football team. And, you know, we didn't capitalize on the opportunities we needed to win.
There are 3 aspects to the game of football. There's the offense, the defense, and special teams. Which graded out the highest for you guys?
Well, I don't really know. I thought it was probably a draw on the special teams. We might have outplayed them because we did down the ball a couple times. Or they had some good kickoff coverage. I thought our offense played really good in the second half, not great in the first half. Defense was kind of flipped. So I think what we're looking for is just more consistency with offense and defense playing 2 good halves or really playing 4 good quarters instead of 3 good quarters.
Yeah, and that was obviously going to be my next question is what area would you like to see the most improvement in against Colorado Mesa?
Yeah, just more consistency. Defensively, we actually played pretty well all night. We just gave up some big plays, two long passes and two really long runs. And I mean, I think they only had 15 first downs the whole game, and we ran 80 plays. They only ran 50 because they had a lot of 3 and outs. But we gave them big plays. We gave them chunk plays. So we want to eliminate that. And offensively, we did a good job taking care of the ball. We want to continue that, but we want to finish drives.
There are some new faces associated with Greyhound football, both in uniform and on the sideline. We actually talked last spring to Austin Bortle, who's your new defensive coordinator. Another person who's new, who's not actually part of the staff, is we've got a new strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah, Justin McClure's done a great job. We look bigger. We look stronger. I thought we were more physical, so got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, working with our kids, our returners, and I think that'll pay dividends. And we've been able to stay healthier, and usually, strong things don't break. And so I give him a lot of credit for that.
Another thing that's changed from last year is we did not have an athletic trainer, and now we do.
Yeah, we were down with one for part of the year and went through spring ball without a trainer. And now we have Andrew, and he's doing a phenomenal job. And, I think he's got the right mindset, what we need. He's really thorough, works hard, tough. The kids aren't going to get away with anything, but he's going to do the right thing to get them back on the field. And he's doing a great job.
You have an interesting game this weekend playing against Colorado Mesa in Grand Junction. I had the privilege of doing your game up there a few years ago, and it's a hostile environment, not a mean hostile environment, but it's a hostile environment.
Well, they're a little mean, Doc. They look up social media, and they have a whole scouting report. They know your players' girlfriends' names and moms' names, and they have a whole book, and they get after you pretty good. And the other thing they'll do is they'll pump in sirens and music from out the stadium. You can't do that in the stadium, but they'll pull the cars right up, and when you're on offense, they'll play it. But it's something to look forward to, and it's going to make you focus because you really got to focus. We pumped in music really loud to our stadium today to practice having to communicate clearly, and we're going to do that again tomorrow to kind of get used to it. But it is a great environment. As tough of an environment as we played in D2, and last time we went up there, they were ranked 20th in the country, and we beat them in double overtime. So we were able to go up there in 2019 and get a win. We want to go back in 2025 and get a win.
Let's talk quickly. We've got about a minute and a half here. Obviously, there are two ways that you can lead as a football player. You can lead by example. You can be a vocal leader. So real quickly, who's your lead by example guy? Who's your vocal leader?
I think Matt Cordieri and Christian Grier are definitely lead by example guys. I mean, they've been in our program, a lot of experience, do everything right, from the classroom to the training room to the weight room to on and off the field, and then we've got some leaders that do that and are vocal. I think Chad Ragel's a vocal guy. Cy Swindle, pretty vocal guy. Some of our DBs, the DB room always likes to talk a lot, but I would say they communicate better than I've had any DB group that we've had. They talk more on the field, community across the board. So that's leadership too, because leadership's communication. So I'm really proud of that group, how much they're talking and getting on the same page.
Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck, and let's hope that this time next week we can talk about the Greyhounds being 1-1.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of SportsLook. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. How much of a difference does one player make in the game of basketball? That's obviously the question we're asking ourselves coming out of the summer, because this summer the Oklahoma City Thunder won their first NBA championship, beating the Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers played without Tyrese Halliburton, the outstanding ball player from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, by way of Iowa State University. And a lot of people think if Tyrese had been in the seventh game, it might have been Indiana celebrating instead of Oklahoma City. Well, that will wrap up an overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of SportsLook. I'd like to thank my guests, Karli Bustos and Kelley Lee. had a new floor director, Ms. Jasmine, doing a great job in that particular duty. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.